The late afternoon sun shimmered on Lakeview Pines, that picture-perfect lakeside community where every house looked like it came straight off a postcard. Trimmed lawns, pastel siding, and driveways so clean they could blind you if the light hit just right. But me? I didn't move there for postcard living. I moved there for peace. Solitude. After years working federal investigations, I wanted somewhere quiet to disappear for a while. Just me, my cabin, and the sound of waves lapping against the dock. The cabin sat on the far east side of the lake, a patch of land technically outside the HOA boundary. When I bought it, the realtor had mentioned that with a grin. "Lucky you, Agent Carter. No HOA to boss you around." I didn't realize how lucky I was until that first encounter. As I backed my truck up to the cabin, unloading boxes, I heard it. The sharp, precise sound of gravel crunching under tires. A white SUV, spotless and shimmering like it was polished daily, rolled to a stop halfway across my driveway. Out stepped a woman who looked like she took her job, whatever it was, very seriously. Khaki slacks, pink blouse tucked in military tight, and a clipboard hugged to her chest like a weapon. Her name tag read, Karen Willard, HOA President. Great. "Excuse me," she called out, her tone clipped like she was already irritated. "Are you the new homeowner?" I nodded, lifting another box from the truck bed. "That's me." She took a few brisk steps closer, squinting at my property. "Well, I didn't receive your registration with the Lakeview Pines Homeowners Association. You're required to check in before unloading personal property." I looked at her, a bit amused. "Check in?" I didn't realize this was an airport. She didn't laugh. "Don't get smart. Every homeowner on this lake falls under HOA management. We maintain the road, the lake, and community safety standards." "Then it's a good thing," I said, setting the box down, "that my cabin's not part of your community." Her eyes flicked, puzzled. "Excuse me?" "This property is county-owned, not HOA land," I explained, pulling out the folder from my truck. "Bought it from the previous owner who made sure to stay outside HOA lines. You can check the deed if you'd like." She took it, scanning like a hawk for any sign of error. Her lips tightened. That can't be right. Every parcel touching the lake is under our jurisdiction." "Except mine," I said, calm and polite. Karen exhaled sharply, clearly not used to hearing no. "Well, we'll need to discuss this with the board," she said, glancing at my old fishing dock, "because we can't just have people freeloading off the lake." "Freeloading?" I raised an eyebrow. "Ma'am, I pay county property taxes. You collect HOA fees. Those are two very different things." She frowned, brushing a speck of dust off her clipboard as if trying to brush off the conversation. "That attitude won't get you very far here. The board doesn't take kindly to outsiders thinking they can bypass community responsibility." "Responsibility," I repeated. "You mean paying someone to tell me how to paint my fence and mow my lawn?" Her jaw tightened. "You're mocking the rules. That's a dangerous mindset." I chuckled softly. "No, ma'am. I'm just enjoying the one place in this county where your rules don't apply." Her face turned red, part embarrassment, part fury. "You'll regret saying that," she snapped, stepping backward toward her SUV. "I'll be speaking with the HOA's legal department. We'll see how long you last before you realize it's easier to just join us." "Good luck with that," I said, tipping my cap. "You're gonna need a bigger clipboard." She froze, lips pursed tight, before stomping to her SUV and slamming the door. The tires spun out, kicking up a spray of gravel that rained across my boots. I watched her drive off, the taillights disappearing around the bend. The silence that followed was peaceful again, but not the same. There was that faint hum in the air, the kind that meant trouble wasn't over. I dealt with people like Karen before. People who mistook authority for power, who believed rules were a crown, not a duty. The kind of person who couldn't stand the idea that someone might live free without her approval. That night, as I unpacked boxes inside the cabin, I saw headlights flash through the blinds. For a second, I thought she was back, but it was just a car passing down the main road. Still, I had the uneasy feeling that Karen Willard wasn't done with me. And knowing her type, she'd go as far as it took to prove her little HOA kingdom extended over everyone, even me. I poured myself a glass of water, staring out over the still lake. The air was calm, the moon reflecting off the water like a mirror. I should have felt relaxed. Instead, I felt that same tension I used to feel on stakeouts, the calm before something messy. I didn't move here looking for a fight, but if Karen wanted one, she was about to find out that not every new neighbor was the type to roll over when the HOA came knocking.
But you can already tell this Karen's used to getting her way. Imagine thinking you own a lake. This guy is handling it way better than I would. Calm, chill, but you can feel it building.
The next morning started peaceful. Too peaceful. The kind of quiet that feels like a setup. I made coffee, stepped out to my porch, and watched the mist roll off Lakeview Pines. For a few minutes, I thought maybe Karen had given up. Then, right on cue, a familiar white SUV rolled up my driveway again. Of course. Karen stepped out in full battle mode, clipboard under her arm, a different blouse, bright yellow this time, and an expression that said she'd been stewing all night. Behind her was a second car, a silver sedan, with a man in a navy suit stepping out. He looked official but nervous, like he already regretted being there. Karen led the charge. "Mr. Carter," she said curtly, "we've reviewed your situation with the Lakeview Pines HOA board, and I brought our attorney to clear this up." "Good morning to you too," I said, sipping my coffee. "You folks don't waste time." "This isn't a joke," she snapped. "You're living within community boundaries. You must register with the HOA, sign the covenant, and start paying dues." The man in the suit coughed politely. "Ms. Willard, I think—" Karen shot him a glare that could melt ice. "I'll handle this, Mark." I leaned against the porch railing. "Well, Mark, since you're here, maybe you can explain what gives the HOA legal authority over private county property." Mark adjusted his tie, flipping through a folder. "Actually, based on our maps, your parcel appears to be just outside the formal jurisdiction. So technically nothing," Karen interrupted. "He's part of the lake community. He uses our access road. He benefits from our maintenance. He owes us compliance." "Karen," I said slowly, "if using the road means I have to join your HOA, then I guess half the delivery trucks in this county are breaking your rules." Her nostrils flared. "Don't be cute with me, Mr. Carter. Everyone else around here understands cooperation." "Cooperation's one thing," I said calmly. "Forced membership's another." Mark cleared his throat. "Ms. Willard, perhaps we should—" But Karen wasn't listening. She was pacing now, muttering under her breath, tapping her pen on her clipboard. Finally, she stopped and jabbed the pen toward me. "You've got 48 hours to comply, or I'll call the authorities and report you for trespassing on HOA land." I blinked. "Trespassing? On my property?" "Don't play dumb," she hissed. "The lake's shared waterway is HOA property. You have a dock on it. That's a violation." I sighed, setting my coffee down. "You're really going all in on this, huh?" "You'll regret mocking this association," she said, her voice shaking with a mix of anger and something else. "We keep this community in order. People like you ruin it." "People like me?" I raised a brow. "You mean people who don't answer to you?" For a split second, the mask slipped. She froze, just long enough for me to see it. The insecurity beneath all that control. Then she straightened her posture. "You'll see," she said, storming back to her SUV. Mark gave me an apologetic half-smile before quickly following her. "Sorry about this, sir. She's persistent." "That's one word for it," I muttered. They drove off again, and I thought that was that. But 2 hours later, a sheriff's cruiser pulled into my driveway. I couldn't help but laugh. "She really did it." A young deputy stepped out, hat in hand. "Afternoon, sir. We got a call from a Ms. Willard. Says there's a property dispute here." I nodded slowly. "Let me guess. She said I'm squatting on her HOA land?" He cracked a grin. Something like that. I handed him my property deed, already printed and highlighted. County land, no HOA oversight. He looked it over. Yeah, that's clear as day. Sorry about the trouble. I'll go have a word with her. I smirked. You'll need patience. She doesn't like being told she's wrong. He chuckled. Then she's about to have a long afternoon. By sunset, I thought things were finally done. But that night, as I was grilling dinner on the porch, my phone buzzed. An unknown number. I answered. Mr. Carter, came that unmistakable voice. This isn't over. You can play tough, but this community will make you fall in line. I stared out at the lake, the reflection of the moon rippling in the water. Karen, I think you're confusing authority with obsession. You're not in charge of me. You'll wish you'd never moved here. She spat, and the line went dead. I couldn't help but laugh quietly to myself. People like her didn't scare me. I'd faced worse in my time. Still, the fact that she'd escalated this far over an imaginary jurisdiction meant one thing. She was about to cross the line between nuisance and criminal. And when she did, she'd find out the hard way who she was really dealing with.
See, I knew she wouldn't stop. These HOA types act like they are FBI until they meet someone who actually is. And the nerve she's got, showing up with papers like, he runs the place.
It had been 3 quiet days. Too quiet. Karen hadn't driven by, no letters taped to my door, no HOA flyers in my mailbox, just calm lake mornings and crickets at night. For most people, that would be peace. But for me, it was the silence before the storm. And I was right. That Thursday afternoon, I was setting up my fishing rods by the dock when I heard it. The familiar crunch of tires on gravel. Not one car, 2. I turned around to see a white HOA SUV in front, and right behind it, a black and white sheriff's cruiser. Here we go, I muttered. Out stepped Karen, in her classic beige cardigan and oversized sunglasses, the I run this town outfit. She clutched her clipboard like a sword. The deputy next to her was tall, mid-30s, polite but clearly uncomfortable. I could tell by his eyes he already knew this wasn't going to be a normal call. Karen was the first to speak. Officer, that's him. That's the man illegally occupying HOA property. He refuses to sign the homeowner covenant and has been using our private lake. The deputy nodded slowly. Ma'am, just to clarify, this property, what's the address again? Karen thrust her clipboard forward. It's 114 Lakeshore Drive under the Lakeview Pines HOA charter. I walked up calmly, hands in pockets. Except this isn't part of your charter, Karen. I've told you before, it's county land, public record. Karen shot me a look that could shatter glass. He's lying. He printed fake documents. This is our lake community, and we have rules. The deputy glanced at me. Sir, can I see your deed? I nodded, pulling it from my folder. Sure thing, deputy. Here's the county seal, plot number, and property line map. Take your time. He walked back to his cruiser to check it on his in-car system. Karen followed him like a shadow, talking the entire time, waving her hands, pacing, nearly shouting. I stood quietly, watching the ducks drift across the water. After 5 minutes, the deputy came back. Ma'am, he said patiently, this parcel is registered outside HOA boundaries. The lake access is public easement. He's not required to join anything. Karen froze. Her smile cracked. That's impossible. We maintain this area. The deputy sighed. Maintenance doesn't equal ownership, ma'am. Her voice rose an octave. So you're just going to let him break every rule we have? Ma'am, he said firmly, you don't have jurisdiction here. This man isn't violating any laws. I could have ended it there. But then she said something that made my blood run cold. And my patience finally run out. Karen jabbed her finger at me. If you won't arrest him, I'll press charges myself. He's stealing HOA property. And I know for a fact he's hiding something. Nobody moves here alone acts this secretive unless they're covering something up. I took a slow breath. Karen, do yourself a favor. Stop now. You're crossing into harassment territory. She smirked. Oh, that's funny coming from a squatter. The deputy turned to me. Sir, I can file a report for harassment if this continues. You have that right. I nodded. Not yet. Let's give her a chance to step back. But she didn't. She took a step closer, almost nose to nose with me, and hissed, You think you're above everyone, but around here we find out who people really are. That's when I saw it. The little red light on her phone. She was recording, hoping to bait me into reacting. So instead, I smiled, calm, controlled. Then I reached into my jacket, slow and steady, and pulled out my leather wallet. It wasn't just any wallet. The golden badge inside glinted under the afternoon sun. FBI. The deputy froze. Karen blinked, confused, then stuttered. What is that supposed to be? Some fake badge from eBay? I opened it fully, letting the seal catch the light. Special Agent Carter, Federal Bureau of Investigation, and Karen, you just filed a false report to a county deputy, trespassed on federal property, and interfered with an active agent. The color drained from her face. The deputy's jaw tightened. Ma'am, I think we're done here. Karen stammered. No, this isn't fair. He's lying. The deputy sighed. Ma'am, I just confirmed his credentials through dispatch. She froze completely. I took a step forward, keeping my tone professional but firm. You've been warned multiple times, Karen. What you've done today is harassment, filing false claims, and misuse of public services. She swallowed hard. I didn't know. You didn't ask, I replied. You assumed. Her clipboard trembled in her hand. For the first time since I'd met her, Karen didn't have a single word left. I turned to the deputy. Thanks for coming out, officer. I'll handle the rest from here. He nodded respectfully. Understood, Agent Carter. As the deputy escorted her back to her SUV, Karen's entire demeanor had shifted. No more power, no more control. Just a woman realizing she'd picked the wrong battle. When they drove away, I looked out over the lake again. The sunset hit the water in streaks of gold and crimson, and I finally exhaled. It wasn't about pride anymore. It was about peace, and people who didn't understand the line between community and control. But something told me. This wasn't the last time I'd see Karen. And next time, she wouldn't just be facing me. She'd be facing the law.
Oh man, this is it. She really called the cops on him. And she's about to learn exactly who she's dealing with. I swear, the way he pulled out that badge, cinematic moment right there. Instant regret of Karen.
For the next few days after the incident, Lakeview Pines went silent. No flyers, no Karen, no HOA inspectors creeping by my driveway. You'd think it was over. But if I'd learned anything about people like Karen, it's that silence usually meant they were plotting something. And I was right. Again. That following Monday, I got a letter in the mail. No stamp. Just folded paper shoved into my mailbox with urgent HO business scrawled across it. Inside, a typed notice read, Dear resident, you are hereby summoned to an emergency HOA hearing regarding your alleged misconduct and violation of neighborhood standards. Attendance required. HOA Chair Karen Briggs. I actually laughed out loud. She was calling a hearing for someone who wasn't even part of her HOA. But I went anyway. The next evening, I walked into the Lakeview Pines Community Hall. The place was buzzing. A half-dozen board members seated at a folding table, Karen at the center like a queen on her throne, clutching her folder. Behind her sat a crowd of curious neighbors, whispering like they'd come for entertainment. Karen stood, voice sharp. Mr. Carter, you've been called here to answer for multiple HOA violations, including illegal property improvements, unauthorized lake use, and threatening behavior toward HOA officials. I smiled politely. Karen, I don't live in your HOA. She ignored me. You've displayed repeated disregard for our rules and insulted our officers. I raised a hand. Karen, before you continue, did your legal counsel approve this meeting? That stopped her for half a second. I don't need a lawyer for this. I nodded slowly. Good to know. Then I placed a small voice recorder on the table. Just making sure we're all on record. The board members shifted uneasily. One older man leaned forward and whispered, Karen, maybe we should... But she cut him off. No! He's manipulating everyone! He's not even a real agent! That's when I calmly pulled out my badge again, laying it on the table. FBI. A collective gasp rippled through the room. I said, Federal credentials. Verified by County Dispatch last Thursday. You may contact the sheriff's office if you'd like confirmation. Karen's face went red. You think this scares me? She snapped. You can't come in here and threaten us. Threaten? I said softly. Karen, you called 911 to falsely report a federal officer. That's a felony under U.S. Code 18, paragraph 1001. Filing a false report and obstructing federal activity. The room went dead silent. She stammered, I didn't mean... Oh, you meant it, I said, leaning forward just slightly. You meant every word. You harassed a homeowner, invaded private property, and attempted to force federal land into an HOA boundary for personal control. The board looked horrified. One of them whispered, Karen, is this true? Karen's eyes darted around. He's lying. He forged that badge. He's just... But her words were drowned out by a firm voice from the doorway. Not forged. We all turned. 2 uniformed sheriff's deputies stepped inside. The same officer from before gave me a nod. He turned to Karen. Ma'am, we confirmed Agent Carter's credentials with the Bureau. We also have a copy of your false complaint report. You'll need to come with us for questioning. Karen's jaw dropped. What? This is absurd. I'm the victim here. The deputy sighed. Not according to the evidence. You filed a falsified emergency call, trespassed multiple times, and made threats to a federal agent. Please stand up. She shook her head violently. No! You can't do this to me. I'm on the board. I run this community. The deputy said quietly, Ma'am, you don't run the law. Karen screamed as they cuffed her hands, still clutching her folder of HOA complaints. Her pearls jingled as she was escorted out, shouting, You'll regret this! This isn't over! The door shut behind her, and the entire room sat frozen in stunned silence. After a long pause, one of the board members spoke. Agent Carter, on behalf of Lakeview Pines, we had no idea she was doing this. We're so sorry. I nodded. Apology accepted. Just make sure your HOA doesn't overstep again. That night, as I drove back home, the lake shimmered under the moonlight. The same peaceful silence was back, but this time, it felt right. I parked by my dock, stepped out, and leaned against the truck. For once, there were no HOA letters taped to my gate, no Karen in sight, just quiet water and a night breeze carrying the faint sound of crickets. I smiled to myself. Maybe now, I muttered, I can finally fish in peace. My phone buzzed, a text from the deputy. She's being charged. Shouldn't bother you again. Stay safe, Agent. I chuckled softly. You too, officer. Then I turned toward the lake, the water reflecting a perfect full moon. After all the chaos, the noise, the false reports, and the shouting, peace never sounded so good.
That's what I'm talking about. Justice served. And in the most satisfying way. You can literally feel the silence when the cops walk in. Karen's whole world just collapsed in the HOA hall. And that's how you handle an HOA Karen with pure class. No yelling, no chaos, just calm, confidence, and the law on your side. If you loved the ending, hit like and drop a comment for more HOA stories, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye.